Hey everyone, my name is Erin Ross, and this is my Artist Spotlight, where it is my mission to connect you with amazing artists all over Instagram so that you can learn from their experiences and discover the secrets to their success. In my 10th episode, I will be interviewing Tom Bernardes, or at Tom_Bernardes on Instagram. He is a concept and visual development artist from Brazil and is now living in Sweden. His journey has involved working in illustration for advertising, visual development, concept art, as well as art direction, which he did fairly early on in his career. To hear how he landed that position, keep watching. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Despite the weather, I'm good.
Not great weather in Sweden?
No, most of the year is not great.
Oh,
Freezing.
I've never been anywhere over in Europe.
Where are you at now?
I'm in Washington State in the US.
All right, cool.
Which is very rainy and cloudy a lot. Is that similar to Sweden?
Yeah, but I bet it's maybe a bit worse, I think. We get very dark during the winter, like it gets dark around 2. So imagine.
Oh, gosh, okay. We're not that bad.
No. Yeah,
how long have you been in Sweden?
3 years now.
Wow. Did you move there for work?
Yeah, it was for work.
Now that everything is remote, did you just kind of stick around there?
Yeah, I'm staying here. I'm planning to get my citizenship after a while. So
nice. Okay. So despite the weather, you like it?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot of benefits here. The Scandinavian countries are really good, real life, like life qualities, amazing, and work and
okay.
life are very well divided. You don't live for working.
I did not know that about Sweden.
Yeah, no, it's really good here.
So I know you're from Brazil. Is that right?
Yeah, I am.
Where else have you lived?
I lived in Norway before Sweden.
Oh.
And I also lived in California, if you can call it, lived 1 month in California to study English. And yeah, that was it, I think. A little bit in US, a little bit in Norway, and now in Sweden.
What'd you think of California?
It was nice. Better weather. I like that. And people
definitely sunny.
To be very open as well. So.
I've only ever been I've lived in Oregon and Washington, which are the two rainiest states in the US. So
you just stay in the rain. I mean, you don't miss the sun, or maybe you haven't seen the sun yet.
Haven't seen the sun in a while.
Yeah.
That's sad. How would you describe your art journey?
Well, I've been into several industries, actually. I had the opportunity to work for advertising at the beginning. So I was like 5 years working in advertising. And then I start working for animation, which is my passion, what I love working with. And lately I start working in games. So my art journey is my career journey is between several industries, like exploring a lot. I'll describe it that way.
Nice. So are you gravitating back toward film? Is that your goal?
I don't know. Maybe one day. Because the reason why I moved to games was the fact that the animation industry is so unstable, So I was kind of sick of that, working for different studios for just couple of months or a year or 2, and then they fire you and they want you back. It's like I got tired of being treated as a tool, just now we need you, now we don't need you, I wanted a more stable career. And especially living abroad, because while I don't get the permanent residence or the citizenship, I need a contract. If I don't have the contract, I need to go back to Brazil. So it's good to have a permanent contract, at least for a while. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe if I find a company that is more stable, I would love to go back to animation.
Yeah, I feel like when animation was starting and, these big companies were, being built up, I feel like there was, more long-term jobs and there's these people who worked in these positions for 20 years.
Yeah,
But now it's like, yeah, like you said, a few months, a year, a couple years, which kind of
exactly.
sucks.
Yeah, and depends on the size of the studio as well. You know, if it's a big studio like Disney, DreamWorks, you know, they have a lot of projects going on. But if it's
Yeah.
a middle or small size company, they usually have one contract and then they stay like 1 2 months without a contract, and then they have a new contract for a new movie. So between those gaps, they tend to like fire and hire people, you know.
Yeah, so you gotta go back to Brazil and they want you back, so you gotta fly back.
No,
Back and
yeah,
forth.
that actually happened to me. You know, when I was in Norway,
Really?
I was working for an animation studio, and my contract ended, and they kicked me out. Then I was like, okay, what do I do now? You know, the same problem. You know, if I don't, I need to find a job very quick, otherwise I need to go back to Brazil. Then I got this job in Sweden, and when I was here in Sweden for a month, they called me back. Ah, yeah, we signed a new contract. Do you want to come back? And I was like, no, not anymore. No, I'm in
Oh,
Sweden.
wow.
Yeah.
I see that you got a bachelor's degree in social communication and advertising.
Yes.
So, did you take any animation courses or any gaming courses during your time in university?
Not really. I mean, the university wasn't very helpful to my career. You know, I was kind of lost when I had to decide a course. You know, what I'm gonna do after high school, and I couldn't decide between design or like advertising. So okay, let's go for advertising. You know, I knew I liked to draw, but I didn't know much about how could I pursue a career in this area, you know.
Yeah.
But back then I could only think of advertising, you know, and so I did, and didn't draw much in the university, but I took some courses and classes beside the university, and that's how I improved my skill in drawing.
So, what is your preferred way to learn? Do you like classes, like in-person classes, or do you learn from books, tutorials, online courses? What's your
Yeah,
preferred way?
definitely classes, you know. I'm so jealous of those people that can learn from by themselves, you know. They just draw and they look at their drawing and then like they go like, something is odd, and then they learn how to make it better, you know. But I'm
Yeah.
not that kind of person. I need someone to guide me, you know. So either like offline classes or online classes, books and tutorials. I think mostly online classes and tutorials, I will say.
What ones have you taken? What are your like favorites?
Well, right now I'm taking some oil painting classes through the New Masters Academy. I don't know if you
Mm.
heard of it. It's really nice. I also taking some courses at Scholism. It's
Oh, okay.
another one that it's really good. Um, CGMA also really good.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I took one course with an art director from Pixar. It was a course about art direction. It was really nice, really nice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. After you graduated, what was your like first job as like an artist?
It was actually while I was studying, I got this freelance. That was my very first project. I got this freelance through a friend. He was, how would I explain that in English? I don't know. The company who makes events for like, I don't know, birthdays or if
Okay, so
someone is
that,
getting married, you know, I don't know
oh,
how you
okay. Yeah.
companies.
Like event, like they
Yeah,
throw
they
events.
organize events and
Okay.
parties,
Yeah.
and it was for that kind of company. And I had to do some characters, some characters for them. And after that, I start working in a museum
Oh.
back in my hometown, you know. And then I start in advertising. But the thing is, it's not. It was like a studio, illustration studio for advertising. That was my first job, you know, full-time job. Yeah.
Okay. So you got to draw in your advertising jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Always drawing. I was lucky
Okay.
enough to find only jobs that I had to do.
Oh, okay. That's cool. And then so after you worked in advertising, what was the first company that you worked for that you worked on films or games?
Yeah, there was a company called Hype in Brazil, back in Brazil. Uh, it was amazing. I worked there for 3 years. It was really good. A lot of cool projects. And one of my favorite jobs was there, actually. I had the opportunity to work for this animated series. It's called Tainá and the Amazon Guardians. If I remember correctly, I think they're still on Nickelodeon right now and on Netflix in some countries.
Oh, okay.
It's a kid show, and
Mhm.
I did the art direction of that, and it was so much fun, and I learned a lot, during the process.
Yeah, I noticed that you've had some leadership roles in art jobs, art director, lead artist. Was there any kind of like work up to that? Because it looks like you jumped into a position like right away.
Yeah, that's kind of like how it went. Actually, I was maybe there at the right time, at the right place, and then it
Yeah.
just happened. And it was quite challenging, actually. It's really a challenge to work with people and
Yeah.
learn the different needs, and people have different ways of working. So that's quite a challenge, to understand the pace and how much time you need to invest in some people or not.
Yeah, leading is
Yeah,
tricky.
it's very complicated. Right now I'm kind of done with the leading, but yeah, because
Taking a
it's
break.
a lot of work. You don't actually draw that much, right?
Oh yeah.
You
Most of what
manage
you're
a lot.
doing is, yeah, directing people and
Yeah,
projects. Okay, so definitely like artwork is your preferred role.
yeah. I prefer just drawing. Just tell
Yeah.
me what to do and I would do it.
You've had like quite a bit of experience now at this point. What have been some of your favorite projects to work on?
Well, I think it was definitely the Taina, the series,
Oh
Taina
yeah.
and the Organs, because it was so much fun. I worked with a very talented artist. He was the director, and I've learned a lot. Every time that I work with him is like school. So I think that and my first experience as an art director, because of
Mhm.
all the things that I learned in this project, I think it was the top one in my career so far. Yeah.
Nice. And so you're at Rovio now, which is the company that has done Angry Birds, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. What kind of projects are you working on there, if you're allowed to say?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say, but I can tell that it's a new game. That's just another project that I'm very excited about it because it's looking really good, really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who are some of your favorite artists?
So many. There's one guy, he's Brazilian. His name is Carlos Lucy. That's the guy I worked for with him on the animated series and some other projects and movies. And for me, he's the best Brazilian artist there is. It's really, really good. But I also like, for instance, William Bogoro, because now I'm into oil painting and I've been into that right now.
Yeah.
Landecker, Norman Rockwell,
Oh,
those
classic
kind of artists. I think I really like the way Norman Rockwell some
stylization to it.
stylization on his paintings that I really like and I really enjoy it.
What are some challenges that you've faced as a professional concept artist or, visual development artist? What have been like the hardest things you've had to deal with?
Well, I think at the beginning, when you don't earn enough money to have a normal life, I
You got to
think
be
that's
working all the
quite a
time.
challenge. And I was lucky enough to have parents who support me from the beginning, but it's quite normal, especially in Brazil, where things are a bit complicated there, jobs and to have a career and everything.
Yeah.
Most people try to go on an easy path, they tend to not follow their heart, but something that gives you more
Well,
money.
yeah.
And art, it's complicated. Sometimes you don't earn money up like just like that, you know.
Yeah,
You
it takes a while.
need to like have a lot of experience and get to a certain level to reach that part. And I think that was one of the biggest struggle, you know, and that makes you think if you're doing the right thing, you know, if you should give up or not, if you should keep doing. But yeah.
So like the work-life balance of it is definitely a little bit off sometimes.
Mm.
How's your experience been with work-life balance throughout your career?
I mean, right now it's been really good, you know,
Okay.
especially here in Sweden that you know, we don't work that much, you know, we can get off work very early and there's no much pressure, you know, not much deadlines, you know. But
Sounds nice.
at the beginning, it's quite hard, you know, because I really want to make it, you know, and I really want to be good at it. So I was trying all the time, you know, like in my free time and at work. So I think at the beginning it was a bit more stressful, but I also enjoyed it, you know. I kind of
Yeah,
miss
yeah.
that actually right now that I'm my my
You're like,
career
this
is
is
more
too
settled
relaxed.
now, and I kind of reached the things that I wanted to reach in my career. So I'm kind of more relaxed, but I miss sometimes that willing I had to
Those
succeed, you know, and like
hustle
drawing all the
days.
time and changing my portfolio all the time and
Mhm.
kind of comparing myself with other art to see how I can do better in some aspects, you know.
Yeah. Well, Sweden sounds very lovely. I don't know how it is there, but like in the US is like the work or the hours that you typically work in a week is 40. Is that comparable to Sweden?
By contract, yes, but not
Okay.
everybody follows that, you know.
Oh.
Like we have like very easy. Like people go off at 5, or if it's Friday, then people like, yeah, you have meetings and then you have grab a cup of coffee, then you draw a little bit, then you have another meeting, and then it's time to leave, you know. Yeah.
I feel
Kind
like
of a
that's
European thing. I get
yeah.
this from the US, and I think Brazil it's kind of the same, you know.
Mhm.
Maybe for different reasons. I think in Brazil we work a lot because we don't want to lose our jobs, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think here in Europe in general, most of the countries, I don't want to generalize, you know,
Yeah.
they have this really nice work-life balance, you know, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, I feel like they really prioritize people's time and like their like family
Yeah.
life and all that stuff. What's vacation like in Sweden? How much do you get?
I have 30 working days of vacation. So, which means if you take vacation during Christmas and New Year's, the Christmas holiday and New Year's, they don't count. I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in Brazil, it's not like that.
No, it's not like that in the US.
Count as a vacation, right? But here, not. So, I mean, you have 30 days each year, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, if it's Christmas and New Year's, you can take 10 days and that can be very extended because the holiday doesn't count. So it's just working days.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's nice. So it doesn't like count the weekends either.
No, you don't count.
Okay.
It's amazing. And if you get sick during your vacation, you can get them back actually. If you prove them, yeah, I was sick this and that day, so you can get the days back. It's paradise. You see, that's why I don't care about the weather anymore.
It's worth it. I think it
Yeah.
evens out a little bit.
Mhm.
That's amazing. What do you wish you had known earlier in your career that you know now? Is there anything that you would tell your younger self?
Yeah, especially not native English speakers to learn English as soon as possible. Because if you don't learn English, you're missing out a lot of opportunities and a lot of content online, you know, that you don't have probably in your own language, you know, at least I didn't have in Portuguese. So if I could learn English earlier, I would do it.
For most of the jobs are, require English.
Yeah, not just the job, but I mean online courses, you know, books, you know, so
Oh.
if you can learn English or French or Spanish, you know, there are a lot of content there that you're missing out if you don't speak that language. So it's good to learn different languages, I think. That would be the advice, at least for me.
Yeah, that's good advice. What about advice for people like work-wise or like education-wise to get into visual development art?
Don't give up, I think, because sometimes you think a lot about that, right? Because
Yeah.
our job, it's very strong, and I mean, it's our passion, right? It can get mixed between hobby and work, right? It's hard to separate those things. But I mean, art is kind of like doing sports, you know. You need to practice and you need to get good at it until you find, you know, the job that you dream of, you know. So I think not giving up and keep pushing yourself, because I think the biggest trap for an artist is to think that you're good enough and you don't need to learn anything else, you know. I have many friends that had this thought in some point of their career, and they got stuck and they had to do something else, you know. So yeah, you really need to push yourself all the time and don't give up.
Yeah, that's good advice. You got to continually be learning. You're forever a student in
Yeah, and
art
having
career.
fun with that, you know, not getting stressed by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have any goals for the future career-wise?
Yes. Well, now I'm starting to do oil painting, and I think in the future I would like to become a painter, you know, because I don't know for how long I will enjoy working for games, for animation, you know. So that's kind of a step I'm taking right now, that I imagine myself in 10 or 20 years to be really good at oil painting and maybe just focus on that. So that's kind of my big goal, you know, in career.
Okay. I'm impressed with the oil paintings you've been doing so far. Like, I've been enjoying them.
No, thank you. Thank you.
I took one oil painting class in college and I had the most fun. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, it is, right? Yeah, mixing the paintings and yeah.
Ooh, mixing the paint. Yeah, that was like my
Yeah.
favorite part.
Yeah. And varnishing the paintings at the end, it's amazing too.
Ooh, yeah.
And you see the colors popping out. Yeah.
Very satisfying.
I took this online course on oil painting, but this summer I'm planning to go this small town in Sweden, in the south of Sweden, and have a workshop of like 1 week with this in this school. It's called the Swedish Academy of Realistic Art. That's the name, I think, the school. And they have an amazing workshop there, and I'm very excited for it. It's a portrait oil painting workshop.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Cool. Well, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the interview. I was super excited.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
And you too. Thanks a lot.
Bye, Tom.
Bye-bye.
I hope you all enjoyed and learned something. Again, that was Tom Bernardus, or at Tom_Bernardus on Instagram. If you liked his work, go ahead and follow him. His account is linked below. And if you liked the episode, I would appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and comment something you learned from today's episode. To be notified when the next episode goes live, go ahead and hit the notification bell, or follow me on my Instagram at Erin Christine Ross, where you can also vote on your favorite artist from my daily artist features. Go check that out, and thank you so much for watching.